Hey, Bucks here. Today we got future of the franchise. I'm going to rank them. Now, a lot of thought goes into this with, where to place them on everywhere. Ideally, I get 100 at-bats with every hitter. I'd see every pitcher when I'm hitting. I'd use every pitcher out there to really determine, the final rankings. Obviously, I can't do that, right? That would take, a couple weeks to do to get through. And by that time, we're on to the next content. So, I used in all the pitchers, right? Whether solos, online, I've used them all, seen their breaking stuff in action. The hitters, I have not used them all. I used some of them, so I apologize. This is just my rankings of what they look like. The thing about the hitters, though, the reason why I'm kind of confident if where their ranking is, because here's the thing, okay? Let's just go to him, for example. None of them have any active quirks, okay? They're not like live series cards, so you don't have to worry about that. They're going to play exactly as their attributes stay. And to my knowledge, they're all whole field hitters. Somebody went through and looked through like the minor league roster, and they all said whole field. So I think they're all whole field. If they're not, let me know in the comments below if you found somebody that's a pull hitter, extreme pull, push hitter, that kind of stuff. Please, I need to know, but that's what my knowledge is right now. So based off that, because like I will say I do like guys with, you guys have seen that video, hopefully, that are pull hitters. Like if this Valera is a pull hitter, I think he'll go up a little bit in my rankings. But let's go through the rankings. One at a time here. Josh Lowe, center field. I'm trying to wrap it up because the kid's sleeping right now. Josh Lowe, number 30 on my list, for center field. So when I look at this game, I said this in my George Brett review yesterday. A majority of the players play on all-star difficulty level or lower. Something like 92%. Have never gotten to like Hall of Fame this year, okay? So most of the game, whether it's events, whether it's BR, whether it's just ranked seasons, most people stay in that all-star level, okay, due to skill or lack of time. So that's where we're going to kind of rank these cards at. And I will talk a little about the higher difficulties. Josh Lowe, a center fielder that's really fast. Like, wow, he's really good. The problem is he's a lefty, and you're gonna see me reference the lefty meta of the online gameplay right now. The best pitchers in the game are all lefties, right? SDS for some reason thinks it should be 50-50 lefty-righty, when in reality, like 20% of the pitchers in the major leagues, and like I think around that same percentage of Hall of Famers are lefties only, right? 10% of the general population are lefties, but we're like the best pitchers in the game are lefty. Now there is a little bit of difference now with the new content. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But majority of the things that you face are lefties. So a lefty that's weak against lefties, I don't want it. So the defense here is not that unusual for the outfield with this release. You're like, whoa, this is like close to Buxton. We got a lot of Buxton-esque cards in this release. They really juiced the defense for a lot of these future stars. So Josh Lowe is number 30 for me, right there. Oh, I just gave a bunch away. I don't know how to do. Oh, wait. Should we do one button press at a time? I guess one button press is a few. Anyways, well, should I just go like this? Yeah. Okay. So the rest of these things are center fielders. Okay. Let's go down and just talk about these three center fielders. So, because of the game that we play, unless you're on like legend difficulty, if you're top of the thing, the bricks, and we'll talk about that. A lot of these center fielders are defense first, light hitting guys. They don't have a ton of pop, at least the ones that I've rated here. Like Michael Harris, my number 29 guy on the list. He's got good contact, right? He's got 100 contact, 94 contact, which is good, but no power behind it. He does have good speed, great defense, that kind of stuff. So when I see that, I'm like, man, singles and doubles are cool, but home runs are way more valuable. Hot take, right? So when I see a guy with 74, 65 power, I'm like, because like there's like every single card released, they're all like B's, okay? Maybe some of these guys are close to like B minuses. Like there is value throughout this franchise. They're 95 overalls. They basically replaced every single piece of content we've gotten to up to this point, except for Randy Johnson, Mike Trout, and I don't know, George Brett, I guess. But like most of these cards are that good, on the same level, if not better than what we've gotten before. And that's why like it's hard to make this list when we talk about that. But overall, because All-Star depends, I feel like so much on power. Like, yeah, you get some cheap shots, when you get some BS things, but I would rather like a BS home run than a BS single if I'm at the plate. So, yeah, sure, he can get you some BS stuff right here. At 73, 81 power, he will hit home runs. Don't get me wrong. But it's not going to be at the same rate that you'll get with other cards that we're going to go through here. So, Austin Martin is 27, and then Mitchell right here is number 28 on my list. So, overall, I think they're okay, right? If you want a solid defender out there, if you're defense only, if you're playing at Forbes Field, like you need really specific circumstances to make these things everything that you want to see. Wait, did that happen? All right, number 27 or 26. is Mason Wynn. Okay, Mason Wynn here at shortstop. Let me go over there. Another, I would say, light hitting. If you see the amount of shortstops that we have in Face the Franchise, it's a hard spot to get through. Now, this is another defensive stud, but I feel like with the way the game plays, like I can deal with a little bit slower outfield because the ball hangs up. Seabrev convinced me of that one early on in the year. Incredible defender, but now that they've taken the dives out of the game, maybe you want a little bit more defending now than you used to. Overall, a great card. Maybe on Legend, he's much more usable because of the contact and defense, and it's going to be a low-scoring game, so you might as well try and rob your opponent as much as possible since it's very hard to hit yourself. With the velocities and everything being so much more, with the PCIs being tiny. So you do want that contact, but 97-105 contact is not something unusual for these future stars. It is, actually kind of average, but having no power I think this is the worst power card. The issue is he plays such a valuable defensive spot that I had to put him at number 26 instead of lower on this list. But overall, I still think he's a hard pass, especially at the difficulties All-Star Hall of Fame. Pete Crow Armstrong. The only reason Armstrong is right here is the fact that Give Me My Money, somebody that I definitely trust with his opinions, with his takes in this game, said he really likes the quickness of the swing. Now, obviously, it was a small sample size that he got with Pete Crow Armstrong, but quick swings are nice. Like, whether it's mental, whether it's actually in the game, which it's doubtful that they're actually in the game, but it is a thing, right? 107, 102 power, so that's great both sides. He's a lefty and a lefty meta, which I don't love. I'd rather have my lefties be bangers, like corner infielders, corner outfielders. So having a lefty that has a weak back, overall, I don't like the card one bit, but Give Me My Money. All these things are basically the same value to me. Like Lowe, maybe I should have put him. Maybe I should have done a tier ranking instead, since they're all very close. All right, George Valera. Finally, we're getting off the center of the defensive positions and onto the corner. Valera, though. He is a left-handed hitter with a weakness against lefties. I hate that. If I want a lefty, he's got to also be strong against lefties because you're going to face him so often from Randy Johnson on down, okay? So George Valera is right there. The only reason that he's 24 instead of these center fielders and stuff and the defensive superstars, defense at the middle is so important in baseball, is the fact that he's actually usable as a bench bat. If you need to use that, 97, 110 will hit you some dinger. If you're not able to afford some of the other lefties, I don't know how much Jock is. Wasn't Jock free? So Jock would be one, Valera could be another one, bench bat for you. But for his current price, we're not going to talk about current prices that much because they will fall as more people earn these cards. So don't worry about the price as it currently is. Like, he could be like, I don't know, what is a 95 quick sell value? It might reach down there just like face of the franchise. That might not be for a while though, maybe another month plus. So for a while, he could be like 20K ish, which isn't terrible. We'll see how low these things end up getting though. So that's really it, right? He's got okay speed too. 69 is not terrible. I've been running guys out there with like 50 speed sometimes in the outfield. Bryson Stott again. Oh yeah, Bryson Stott at shortstop. We'll go to him. I thought I might have had two shortstops in a row, but I messed that up. So another shortstop again. A little bit of a lighter hitting shortstop again. I really like. He's kind of got like four tools with the contact, defense, speed, 81, 70. The thing is also, a left-handed guy up the middle, it's a little rare. He can play second base, third base, wherever you need him, which a lot of these cards do. So he's only better than Mason Wynn of the shortstops, though. So this is my second least favorite of the shortstops. And I think it's much harder to find shortstops in this game that are good than outfielders. And that's why I rated the shortstops above the outfield, above the center fielders, really, is due to position valuability. So is that a word, valuability? If it's not, it is now. All right, next up is Nick Prado, the first baseman at my number 22 rated spot. So the first baseman, Nick, right? He has got incredible power. You're like, whoa, they look pretty similar. Why is Nick here so low on the list? Okay, he's a lefty in a lefty meta, and he does actually hit lefties okay. 84, I feel like, is kind of now, at least with cards, kind of broaching to the lower end of the contact I want to see, especially at higher levels. All-Star 84 is way usable, okay? But the hits per nine of the pitches are creeping up. The contact should be creeping up along with it. 84, I'm going to say, is okay right now. You really want to see that as high as possible. Over 90 is kind of cool. And a lot of people wonder why, like, somebody asked me on Twitch chat. It was a really good question, I thought. They're like, what's the difference between, like, mid 80s and like mid 90s for these things, right? Because like it goes all out to 125. What's the point, like, between power? Like, it's just like a few points. What's gonna happen? Well, I went through and like this game's based off regs, right? Just like Madden's based off regs, and the thresholds are a little bit lower. But like when you look at like mid 80s power and going to mid 90s and whatever up to high 90s, you're going from like Mitch Haniger power to like Mike Trout power. Okay, so like that little like bump from like the 80s to the 90s, it's very important. And then obviously you can continue it further on, and once we get into like the 120s power, you're gonna get really some bailout home runs that shouldn't happen, because that's just, the game wasn't really designed for that. They've probably tweaked it over the last couple of years, but it still feels like it still works that way. And so like once you're getting to those high 90s, this guy's got 108 100, which is like breaking the max level of this engine's general power level. So it's important to be there, right? So that's kind of the point I was trying to make, is that like you go from like a good power hitter to one of the greatest of all time. But Trout also walks a lot, decent average. It is what it, also 5 tool. So Prado, he's got good attributes. Okay, he's a great defender. Speed is better than Rizzo. He is basically a faster Rizzo. Okay, even though Rizzo's free. So do you want to use your future of the franchise pick on this guy when you can get Rizzo for free, just by grinding that out? Probably not. Okay. And so left-handed first baseman, that's why he's so low, is the position isn't very valuable. All right, next up is another shortstop, but this guy's got a little bit more power than the rest of them. So the shortstop right here, Peraza, he's well balanced, I thought. So 87 speed, he's got defense, all these things. If you start paralleling guys that are balanced across the board, right? His fielding's going to get into like the 90s across the board, reaction, arm, everything. Speed's going to get to 90. A very solid card, over and above. Like if this was the only shortstop released in this program, he'd be much higher rated. He'd be one of the best shortstops in the game, right? He's right there where Tatis is really nice, but Tatis is a terrible fielder. He's booted balls for me that's cost me games. Okay, so that's why like I can't run Tatis, is because I'm just not confident with his fielding. So this guy, ultimately confident with his fielding. So I love this guy, defensive stud. I just don't love the low 80s power. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to drive as many balls deep into the alleyway or over the fence as I would with some other cards here. So that's why he's 21, even though he plays a very valuable position and a great defender there. I might be a little... Brady House is here at 20 also. So Brady House, very similarly statted card. A little bit worse on the contact against right with Brady House than Mr. Oswald Peraza. But he's got the boost of power, which is something cool. So you're losing a little speed and contact right, but you're gaining power. And I was looking at that, I was like, dang, what do I want? Do I want the better defender, the superstar defender with decent power, or the guy with good power that's a little slower? I went with the more power because, like I said, most people play this game at All-Star, and I think that's what you really want to go for. But I don't have a problem if you're going to argue in the comment section that Peraza should be higher because of his defensive value. I'm literally going to let you win that, and I'm not even going to respond. You guys can have that argument. Go ahead, make it. It's a legit one. That's 100% okay. All right, next. Oops, I didn't push the right button. Next on the list will be Brett Baty, a third baseman. And I really like a lot of these shortstops and stuff because they do have a lot of flexibility. Like Brady House can go ahead and go play third, so you can kind of rank him against them. But third baseman here, Mr. Baty. He can't play shortstop, so it's a little bit different, but he is great against righties, right? Like this third base / left fielder, 62 speed is fine. It's not studly, but he's got great defense, so he can play either one of them well with those decently high reactions, great arm. The issue is he is weak against lefties, but I do love that enough against righties that I put him at number 19 for me. So overall, I don't know. I kind of fetishize power. Maybe he's a little too high looking at it right now because of the position valuability, which is maybe something I should have rated a little bit better with this card. I think Baty can go down on the list for me. I might move him below the shortstops looking at it a little bit more. So I think he's just a couple rated. So it's always good to keep getting more eyes and keep discussing it. Usually I just discuss it in my head. To discuss it out loud makes me think a little bit more. All right, so here we hit our first starting pitcher, Blake Wallston. I went through and looked at their releases too, wrote them down. And, let me go to filter out starting pitchers. I like this Wallston good, I would say. It's good. Hits per 9 is 97, but like almost every single pitcher in this thing is 97-ish or a little bit more. I don't think he has the velocity. He doesn't have a sinker. Curveball, circle change, slider is really nice because they're 3 different speeds. The issue is I feel like the ball is a little bit, easy to see out of the hand with a 3/4 release. That's like what we see most of the time, right? Maybe not the easiest to see. It's got a decent whipping motion. But overall, I feel like there's so many lefties in the game that, like, in the pitchers, I just don't feel like this guy really stands out, because if you're gonna have velocity in the mid to low 90s, you need some funky stuff. There goes the baby. Hopefully he's not gonna wake up here. Baby woke up. So anyways, next on the list, we'll try and get through it a little quicker here. Reed Detmers. Let's give a few in a row. Reed Detmers, another lefty. So I actually played against this guy in ranked already. And I am terrible at hitting lefties, okay? I am super bad. So the biggest danger this guy showed to me, right, was his sweeping curve. And then once I laid off of it, I feel like the fastball was sneaky. Now, I played rank, it was Hall of Fame. Slider, circle change, not being a different velocity, that kind of threw it off. Oof. Sorry, I ran and got it. I didn't need to run and get it because there was no problem. Austin Hendrick right here, right field. Martinez, Cesmid, another, like, this, we're starting to get guys a little bit more power on the list, which is why they're higher up for me. Right fielder, Hendrick here, 110 and 100. That is incredible. Now, he is a lefty, and only 81 contact versus lefties. Might cause a little bit of problem. 50 vision, I feel like vision's a little underrated. According to SDS, it helps you check swings. It also helps you foul off balls. You know how big, like, foul balls are this year, right? The more foul balls you get, the more swings at the bat you get. It can really lead some BS hits, right? Because your opponent just gets frustrated, and he's like, all right, here, just hit the dang ball. Let me throw a strike. So only 50 vision, it hurts a little bit. I think the contact and power are way more important, but let's not underrate vision, I feel like. And then 80 speed, so he's kind of like a stud in the outfield, too. He can play, you can play at center field, and he'll still be good there, okay? So overall, solid card for Hendrick. Like, we're starting to get into, like, some absolute meta studs in the top 16. Martinez here at third base. Go ahead and filter to third. Martinez, 92 power. So he's a righty that hits righties better. You guys know how much I do adore reverse split dudes. You just feel a little bit more confident, right? The Mike Trouts of the world for so long. Although Mike Trout's really good against lefties now. Again. So a competent defender there with a good bat, can also play second or third base too. So yeah, I don't mind this Martinez card one bit due to the power, due to the fact that he's a righty and smashes righties, and he also got the platoon advantage against lefties, and a solid defense there at those important defensive spots. Cesmid is here in center field. Is this the number 1 center fielder on my list? I think it might be. This card is got, it's like almost a 5-tool stud. Maybe you want the contact up a little bit, but speed, power, defense. He's like, I guess, almost Trout-esque with the power defense combo. Obviously, his contact's not to Trout's level quite yet, but overall, this Cesmid is a very, very good card. And that's what else do you want on a center fielder than somebody that can hit bombs and rob bombs? The most fun things to do in the entire game. He can do it well. Next up on my list was Wallston Khalil. This card in the middle infield to have this sort of speed. He's taking my PlayStation controller, smile. This kind of speed, this kind of defense, along with a bat that hits both righties and lefties fairly well. Like, this is a stud. I don't know how I got him only at 13. I think the only reason he's 13 is because we have so many shortstops that can do similar things to him. It's oh, not that one. Uh-oh. He just bit off whatever you call it. Let me get you another controller, bud. Here's one without a control freak on it. Do you want this controller? I'm gonna put it right there. So anyways, Khalil Wallston. Yeah, don't need a control freak choking hazards going on right now. Luckily, I got it as it was going into his mouth. All right, so Khalil Wallston there was my number 13 player on the lineup. Number 12 will be Mr. Gunnar. Oh, I went a little high on the list. Gunnar Henderson right there. Again, not as fast, but a solid, like an incredible arm. Great power. He's a lefty. He struggles a little bit against lefties, but he's so good against righties. And like, just Can hit home runs. Has got great contact there against rights. In case we do switch to a righty meta. Not a bad card, one at all. We're now going, the next card will be, we're going to go to a starting pitcher next, which was Bello. Sorry, I'm trying to equalize out my list. So Bello was a starting pitcher, and I think he saw, like, the starting pitchers in this future of the franchise are, like, immediately become some of the best pitchers in the game. It's wild to me that these future stars, they gave us such good, because they have top velocity. The issue with Bello, so he doesn't have outlier, but he's only got 3 pitches. So even though he throws 99, which can, get up to 101, can get up super high, he's got decent hits per nine, like I said. The pitches themselves, good control, great break, that kind of stuff. But there's only 3 of them, right? It's like he's got a reliever's repertoire with a fastball. I mean, 2-seamers don't really do a whole lot. They have a little bit of run. Some 2-seamers are better than others. But since he's only got 70 break on his, it's whatever. So he's got 3 pitches, and I feel like that kind of limits him, even though he's got top-end velocity, okay? Next up on the list is my catcher spots, right? So there's 5 catchers released. They're all basically the same, okay? Wait, is there 5 or is there... I think there's 5. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so on my list, when you're choosing your cards out of your packs, right, which is what a lot of people are going to use this for, you can choose any one of these. I chose Henry Davis because I'm a Pirates fan, but really, I think Corey Lee's the best, then Campusano, then Shea, then Joey Bart. We can kind of go through. They all are almost exactly identical to each other, right? If you look through the stats here, they've all got good contact, good power, good defense, right? Some of them are a little different on speed, right? Corey Lee's my number 1 because he's 64 speed, which is something the other ones don't have. I think he's leaving the room now. So overall, like, if you just look through this, like, Henry Davis is like a straight downgrade everywhere to Corey Lee, because Henry Davis's discipline's 96 and Corey Lee's is 63, and a 30 difference of discipline, which discipline has been confirmed to do absolutely nothing. It really matters, okay? And so, like, that's why kind of like Henry Davis got screwed, Corey Lee got benefited because of the discipline stat. So Corey Lee's basically a straight upgrade. So that's why he was my favorite. Campusano's really good too. Like, all these, I'm probably saying that wrong, Campusano. But all these cards, almost identical, okay? The only difference is, hang on. They're all, yeah. The only difference is, like, slight ones, right? Speed, defensive slightly. Arm on Shea is 97 versus 90. But, like, then we got 98 and 97 arm on these two. I don't know. Overall, choose who your favorite guy is, and they'll perform pretty similarly for you. I would definitely choose one of these guys with a higher power, though, because they're all going to be great. And base runners aren't that big of a deal this year, in my opinion. You can throw out anybody with just about anybody. So, next up on the list will be Matt Brash, a starting pitcher. He is right here. So his stuff is nice, right? Like, his stuff, because Brash, he's got a standard 3/4 release, sure. He's got a 98-mile-per-hour fastball, but he's got, 4 pitches. He's got a slider and a slurve. The only issue with the slider and the slurve is the fact that they're very similar speeds. So it's not going to be a lot like Randy Johnson, whose slider and slurve are different. They do break slightly different, so you can set up the slider, throw over a strike, then a slurve to kind of get it. They look a little different. The slurve looks a little bit more loopy out of the hand, though. So, like, you can set the 4-seam up better, I feel like, with the slider than the slurve. And then a circle changer on the same thing. So, top-end velocity. Good hits per 9, K per 9. Very similar. And I think his K per 9 is better than the other ones that I showed. But it's per 9. It's crazy. Pitch control is solid, not great. And then his breaks on that stuff is also pretty nice. So, overall, one of the best pitchers in the game still. He's just came out. One of the best pitchers in the game. Crazy to bring him out because of high velocity and then some okay off-speed stuff. So Brash I put at 5, which I can see the argument of him being lower just due to his standard 3/4 release. Next up on the list will be Job. So the only reason Job is this high, when you look at his stuff, you're like, oh, he only throws, well, I guess 96 is decent, but like, dude is like, he's somewhere that people don't see the ball from much, right? We see a lot of like side armors, we see a lot of 3/4, but a straight over the top guy like Job could really throw people for a loop. Now his first pitch is a slider at 83, right? So that sets up pretty well with a 4-seam, but his circle and his curveball really have some hard vertical break. It's gonna throw some people. It's gonna take some people a while to get used to. Good control right there. Good walks per 9. The break on the stuff is also really nice for those vertical breakers, circle, slider. Curveball's only 75, but, you know, it breaks a little bit more than the circle just based off the pitch itself. So overall, I like it. Even though there's not a huge speed differential, which is a negative. It's absolutely negative. I feel like with the uniqueness of his throw motion, you might be able to get some outs just based off that. Next up on the list will be number 3 overall, which is a first baseman. So, you know, I was talking about Prado earlier being a first baseman, and then Toglia. They look very similar stat-wise, but why is one so high and why is one so low on the list? Because one kind of blends in, is the same as our already free Anthony Rizzo, and this one is a switch hitter. Dude, I feel like platoon advantage gives me about 50 points of batting average alone. Plus, it's easier to, I feel like, to time pitches up, you know, pitches breaking into you versus away from you. Fastballs have to travel further to get inside of you. So overall, great defender. Yeah, do you like the remote? Great defender, great power, and a switch hitter. This card is psycho. I love it, dude. I absolutely love this card. And that's crazy that he's only number 3 for me. All right, what's number 2? Whoops, wrong one. What is number 2? Who is number 2? Justin. I'm not even gonna pronounce the last name, Foscue, because I'm gonna probably screw it up, and I apologize to fans of Justin. A middle infielder with 107 and 112 power. That's crazy, right? Now you're sacrificing the other guys that have the speed, that are much better at like defense, to rob a couple balls of the middle. And trust me, there are gonna be a couple balls that are gonna get robbed themselves, okay, by that speed. But the fact that he's hitting dingers when other guys are flying out to the warning track, that's huge. His contact's good. Contact against lefty during our lefty meta is insane. I really do enjoy this card. I love it, right? Especially on all-star difficulty. But even at higher difficulties, 85, 96 contact left, that's definitely competitive. And my number 1 card in the entire game is probably the second best pitcher in the game right now, Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller has outlier. And you guys know this game ends up tending to end up, he's hitting my mouse now. It ends when people get a bunch of outliers across the board. Like, remember when they gave Verlander an outlier because he hits like 102 once in a while? I only used them in one game so far, but 102 hits per 9, incredible. The outlier there on his fastball means he's hitting 101, 102 on that. And then he's got a slider, a splitter, a sinker, and a curveball? Okay, all right. The sinker alone is going to provide you a ton of value because, like, people have that's like a 5-mile-per-hour difference between the pitches a lot of times, between 101 and 95. But sometimes sinkers will play a little bit faster, so around 5, sometimes up to 6, 7. But overall, like, the splitter, too, 92 break on that splitter. Slider is nice always, right, to get guys chasing out of the zone. Yeah, you're going to see Bobby Miller in a lot of ranked games, and this sucks, right? This the only thing I didn't want out of Future of the Franchise was somebody with outlier, and they gave us somebody with outlier. This freaking Dodgers, all right? This freaking guy. This is like the right-handed Randy. And so he's going to be 1-2 with Randy, and you're going to see him a ton, and you're going to hate life. I think this card's going to end up rebalancing lineups. I said for a while, like, you can only have 2 left-handed players in your lineup, or else you really risk yourself being exposed. You could end up, you know, due to Bobby Miller being even probably more out there. Like, this is going to be this year's Cabrera, in my opinion. We'll see how it ends up playing out. But in my opinion, you could rebalance your lineup with 3 lefties, or try to add more switches like, you know, Polanco or something like that. Oh, that's where the bad chords are. Can you say hi, everybody? You could end up, you know, seeing a lot more of this Bobby Miller than Randy Johnson because he's, you know, very, very easy to get. He's about 90K now, but that should go down to about half that, maybe even less, once everybody gets the card. Overall, this is psycho. I will see you guys later. Let me know what you guys think about the rankings in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe. Really helps out the channel. Use code Gutfoxx at Underdog Fantasy. That is the number 1 way of financially supporting this guy right here. But, I mean, he's related to me. College, please. He's got no shot. Just kidding. He needs diapers, though. Please. Code Gutfoxx at Underdog Fantasy. For the Ute. Peace.